Well, they chose Zarkin because they were distraught over the handling of Liana's first pregnancy at Tisch Hospital in New York. Under a previous doctor's care, Liana's unborn baby inexplicably died just 2 weeks before her due date.
You never can put it behind you. It's gonna be with us for the rest of our lives because it is a child, and I spent 9 months with this child in me.
So we said, you know something, let's get a fresh start, and we're going to start with a new obstetrician for you, and we're just going to move on.
Liana wanted to become pregnant again right away, but this time she wanted a new obstetrician, one with a more caring bedside manner. Friends recommended Dr. Alan Zarkin. They said his reputation for getting personally involved with his patients made him the perfect choice. But what Bobby and Liana didn't know was just how malignant his involvement could be.
He was having this abnormal behavior, well known to the hospital.
New York State Health Department Commissioner Dr. Antonia Novello says Dr. Zarkin was acting bizarre 2 years before Liana Getz became his patient. Liana never knew because Novello says Beth Israel Hospital kept Dr. Zarkin's erratic behavior secret.
There were behaviors that had been as far back as 1998 that we were never told or reported.
For instance, a New York State Health Department report claims Dr. Zarkin engaged in sexually inappropriate discussions with patients. He boasted that cosmetic surgery and Viagra had transformed him into a stud. The report also says Zarkin's verbal abuse of nurses in the operating room also went unreported. So Liana had no idea that her obstetrician was emotionally unraveling.
When I met him first time, he was very upbeat. He said something what made me very comfortable. He looked me straight in the eyes and he said, "I guarantee you a healthy baby."
Guarantee?
Yes, and I know he cannot guarantee you something, but I needed to hear that. I needed somebody to say to me, "Trust me, you will have a baby."
How did you perceive him?
He was like a god to me. He was the person who would call me 15 times a day, no exaggerations. He was the person who, if I had a little twitch, I could dial his telephone number in the middle of the night.
This pregnancy was their whole life, and they put all their trust in this doctor.
Bob Sullivan is Liana Getz's attorney.
There was much more trust here than would normally exist in a doctor-patient relationship, and he had become a friend.
In fact, at this neighborhood restaurant, Dr. Zarkin would have dinner with Bobby and Liana on the average of 3 times a week. He was a frequent guest at their weekend home in the country, and rarely did he arrive empty-handed. Many times he brought along his portable sonogram machine in case Liana needed assurance that her unborn baby was fine. Looking back, do you think your judgment was so clouded because of your dependency on him?
Yes.
Connie, I couldn't comprehend what he actually could do it to me, to the person who cried on his shoulder, who he knew about every tear, every pain, every depression, everything. I mean, why? Why would to add to this pain?
Under Zarkin's care, Liana immediately got pregnant, but soon suffered a miscarriage. Depressed but still determined, she got pregnant yet again. But in her 5th month, she would be rushed here to Beth Israel Hospital in premature labor. And for the first time, Liana would see a side of Dr. Zarkin that frightened her.
He's trying to examine me. My cervix started opening. And he's saying, "Liana, this is 24 weeks. Baby not gonna survive."
Bobby was at his medical practice when he got a frantic call from Zarkin.
He picked up the phone and he said, "Everything is bad. Baby could not, probably not gonna make it. She is in contractions." Click. And he starts screaming. He said, "I don't have time to deal with this. Look what's happening to you. I don't have time to deal with your husband. Just shut up."
Why didn't you just pick her up out of that hospital and move her somewhere else?
We couldn't do that.
Why not?
Because you cannot change obstetrician or
Nobody
the
will
hospital.
accept you.
Nobody would accept you at 32 weeks. That's
Honestly,
impossible.
you didn't think so?
Honestly, they
No.
wouldn't.
At 36 weeks, the baby's heart rate climbed dangerously high. The baby was in distress. An emergency C-section would have to be performed immediately.
Was very scared. I mean, I just pray would this little baby come out okay. I just feel I felt them pulling something, and I heard baby cry, and this I knew, you know, she's okay.
What were you feeling when you heard the cry of your baby?
I just felt so relieved, and I just was praying and saying, please, you know, make sure this cry would go on and on and on, and nothing could ruin it for me. Well, I thought nothing could ruin it for me.
It was a joyous moment that would be shattered in the flash of a doctor's scalpel. When we come back, an act of madness.
In her arms, the child she longed for. On her body, a doctor's bizarre calling card.
I just felt to hide somewhere and never come out, and I just wanted to go home.
Why did he do it? Connie Chung chasing the truth when 2020 returns.
I was about to start training for the Tour de France when I was first diagnosed with cancer.
Arranging a regimen of 3 Bristol-Myers Squibb cancer drugs, doctors worked with Lance Armstrong to first control his cancer, then to beat it. For over 3 decades, Bristol-Myers Squibb has been at the forefront of developing cancer medicines.
Today, my life is ahead of me. My wife and I just had a son, Luke David Armstrong.
Oh, yeah.
Hope, triumph, and the miracle of medicine. Bristol-Myers Squibb Company.
Baby, show me 1 + 1 is 2.
Introducing Sprint 1000, 1,000 minutes of long distance, nights or weekends, for just $20 a month. That's as low as 2 cents a minute. Switch to Sprint 1000 at 1-800-PIN-DROP.
Ziploc containers, test number 12. Both of these containers can go into the microwave. One of them doesn't always make it. Ziploc, all you ever wanted in a container.
Because kids will be kids, and kids need strong bones, Tropicana introduces new orange strawberry with calcium. 100% juice, calcium for strong bones. New orange strawberry could be the healthiest 9.3 seconds of a kid's morning.
Yes, I need to report my bag was stolen. We were on the beach, and I turned around for 2 seconds, and my bag was, excuse me, my wallet was in there, and my husband's wallet, and I had about $500 worth of cash. I don't understand this. This has like never happened to me before. I just don't know what to do. We only turned around for 2 seconds.
Sunday, ABC has an incredible night of television where good things come in threes. 3 lifelines. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire at a special time, 7/6 Central. 3 wishes.
Everybody asks for money. Why not ask for something new and exciting?
Television's biggest movie event. TV Guide calls dazzling.
Storytelling's best done at night.
Take the ride of your life. Arabian Nights, 8/7 Central. 3 shockers. The episode that proves why this is the Emmy-winning drama.
We're asking for a test that would take only hours to see if we are about to execute the right man.
An all-new practice, 10/9 Central. Sunday, good things come in threes. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, 7/6 Central. Arabian Nights, 8/7 Central. An all-new practice, 10/9 Central. 3 great shows make one incredible night of television. Sunday starting at 7/6 Central, only on ABC.
When Leanna Getz gave birth to her first child, a girl, last September, it was a momentous event for her. But the rest of the world would never have noticed if it hadn't been for her doctor's unthinkable act. As Connie Chung continues, Dr. Alan Zokin is about to leave his indelible mark on a special delivery.
Emma Nicole Galili came into the world by cesarean section on September 7, 1999 at Beth Israel Hospital in New York. The delivery performed by Dr. Alan Zarkin was a reason to rejoice. But Bobby Galili's pride quickly turned to shock when he witnessed Dr. Zarkin's moment of madness in the operating room.
At one point, he yelled for a scalpel. He said, "Give me the blade. Where's the blade? Where's the blade? Where's the blade?" It happened in less than 5 seconds. Even the nurses couldn't stop them.
What Dr. Zarkin did with that scalpel would physically scar Liana Getz for life. Zarkin took his razor-sharp tool and carved deep into Liana's flesh his initials, AZ. And he literally just carved his initials?
And I asked him, "Why would you do this? Why did you do this?" And he goes that he did such a beautiful surgery, he wanted to initial his work.
It's like a scene from a horror movie, really. Somebody just taking a scalpel and doing it on somebody's flesh. I mean,
Liana was under local anesthesia, so she didn't feel anything. And Bobby didn't let on that anything was wrong for fear of how his wife would react. Why didn't you stop him?
First of all, I had no idea what he was doing. At that point, I knew that I'm not dealing with a rational person. But guess what? He still has a scalpel in his hand, and my baby's still in the intensive care unit, and Liana's still on a bed where he's standing over.
Bobby was right to be concerned for little Emma's safety. According to a New York State Health Department report, Dr. Zarkin tried to remove breathing tubes from the baby against the instructions of a nurse in the neonatal intensive care unit. Dr. Zarkin reportedly did not stop until he was physically restrained by the nurse.
I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to look at him. I didn't want to have nothing to do with him. But if I had done that, she would have known something was wrong.
The plan to shield his wife from the truth didn't last long. Liana began wondering why she was feeling pain above the incision made during the delivery. Her suspicion that something was wrong was confirmed when Dr. Zarkin visited her one day, along with the hospital's chief of obstetrics.
and he said to me, "Well, you know what Dr. Zarkin did, I really would like to see that." I said, "What happened?" And at this point, I look at Bobby and I said, "Give me a mirror." And he gave me a mirror, and I look at it, and I can't explain to you what I felt. It was shock, I mean, complete shock. I looked at it a couple times because I couldn't believe what I saw. I felt like a branded animal.
Did you say anything to Dr. Zarkin?
Yes, I turned to him and I said, "Alan, why? Why to me? I mean, to me." His response was, I never forget it, he turned around and he said, "After the way I took care of you, I don't have to give you any explanation." But I couldn't believe what this man, it was like father to me. I mean, he was a person who promised me a baby and finally didn't have it, and this is what he did to me. I just felt to hide somewhere and never come out, and I just wanted to go home.
After 10 long weeks, Liana finally left the hospital. Dr. Zarkin also had left Beth Israel. 2 days after the delivery, his medical privileges were suspended. But in its report to the health department, Beth Israel omitted any mention of the carving incident. The report merely said Dr. Zarkin was guilty of gross misconduct, which would not normally prompt an immediate investigation.
The gross misconduct had no indication of what was it that was done, and even the CEO of the hospital agreed. This should have never been this superficial, considering the depths of what he had done.
Dr. Novella's department did not investigate the incident until 2 months later, when it began receiving anonymous calls from other doctors at Beth Israel. With his medical license still intact, Zarkin had landed a new job as the medical director of this abortion clinic. Neither the patients nor the management had any idea what he had just done.
560 women, think about this, who went in to be treated by this man, trusting this man, who should have known that he had carved his initials in a patient, and they didn't know.
Officials from Beth Israel refused to comment about the Dr. Zarkin debacle. As for Dr. Zarkin, this week he pleaded guilty to second-degree assault. Prosecutors agreed that Zarkin would get 5 years probation instead of jail time, in exchange for his promise not to practice medicine anywhere again. In court, Zarkin's lawyers claimed a brain disorder caused his irrational behavior. Other than that, the Zarkin camp has had very little to say about the matter. Dr. Zarkin, why did you carve initials in Liana Getz's body? Sir, can you answer that question? Liana Getz says that the most shocking part of this is that she was friends with you. Earlier this year, Zarkin settled a civil lawsuit filed against him by Liana Getz for close to $2 million. But Liana does not intend to take her settlement and suddenly disappear from public view.
I think both of us have a purpose in telling this story because I want to make sure that every woman, man, or child who walks in that hospital, or any hospital for that matter, would feel safe and they don't have to go through what I went through. Now it is a time to let the public know and choose who will hold their life in their hands.
Last month, Liana testified before Congress in support of a patient's right to know a doctor's performance record, information that in most states is available only to members of the medical profession.
If the entire information would have been made available to the public, the patient seeing Dr. Zarkin after me would have known of my horrific experience.
While Liana speaks out in the hopes of helping others, she remains unsure how to help herself. Her physical scars will not fade without plastic surgery, but her emotional scars from Zarkin's betrayal may rule out ever trusting another surgeon again.
I don't know if I can live with this for the rest of my life and see it every day and go through the whole experience again every time I see it.
Connie, thank heaven the baby's healthy, but what does the scar look like when you see it as you have?
I couldn't believe it myself. I mean, even the cameraman was aghast at what he saw.
Because it's that sharp and clear. Is she going to have plastic surgery?
She says she's consulted a plastic surgeon, but she's very reluctant because she trusted this friend, and look what happened. She's reluctant to trust a stranger.
Now, the doctor cannot practice again for 5 years?
He can't practice in New York ever, but he's agreed not to apply to any other state for 5 years during the period of his probation. Each state should be able to, and you know, under federal law, should check a data bank to see about a doctor's history, but there's no telling if any state will.
So there is a possibility, if a state didn't check, that he could practice again.
Absolutely.
Oh, Connie, what a story. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Have you heard about the nationwide alert? You may be sharing the road with dangerous truck drivers. And later, he knows all about war. He's the Secretary of Defense. But tonight, you're going to hear his unusual love story.
Here are two people who love each other. In which color, it doesn't matter.
Barbara Walters with the Defense Secretary and his secret weapon when 2020 returns.
Said the little blue engine. But we must get over the mountains before the children awake, said all the dolls and toys. Then she said, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. She tugged and pulled and tugged, and slowly, slowly, they started off. Puff, puff, chug, chug, went the little blue engine. I think I can, 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 I think I can. Hooray, hooray, cried the funny little clown and all the dolls and toys. And the little blue engine smiled and seemed to say, as she puffed steadily down the mountain, I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could.
Good evening, Batman.
Alfred.
I've stepped up safety in the Batmobile, sir.
Really?
Should a villain steal it, someone will track it. If your airbag goes off, an advisor will assist you. If you're stranded, satellites will help locate you.
And where have you put all these things?
Just press the OnStar button, sir.
Well done, Alfred.
My pleasure, sir.
OnStar, how can I help you, Batman?
This apple is a very healthy snack. But if you wiped it with a cloth dish towel, you probably added more germs than you removed. Fortunately, this apple was rinsed and dried with a strong, absorbent Sparkle paper towel. Towels like Sparkle can help reduce germs by up to 99%. After all, you only wanted her to eat the apple, right? This message brought to you by Sparkle paper towels.
This was a terrorist act.
Nicole Kidman.
I'm going to need a military liaison. Make sure he's willing to take orders from a woman.
George Clooney.
Good guys, it's us. We chase the bad guys.
This is your plan?
The Peacemaker. ABC Saturday at 8/7 Central. Parental discretion advised.
Shoot him! Take the shot!
The ABC Big Picture Show. A great movie every Saturday night.
An incredible story continues to emerge from a catastrophic accident we told you about last year, when an 18-wheel truck and a family van crossed paths on a Midwestern highway. A huge scandal erupted from the fiery wreckage. Charges of bribery and unqualified truck drivers getting licensed by the state of Illinois. Now there are new developments, and Chief Investigative Correspondent Brian Ross is still on the case.
Since our report last year, authorities have discovered yet another terrible accident caused by a trucker who paid a bribe in Illinois to get his truck driving license. A 74-vehicle pileup outside Fresno, California, in which 2 people died and 51 were injured. The truck driver later admitted he got his license by paying a bribe of $800, one of thousands who may have done so, according to what authorities have told 2020.
Thousands of people who should not be driving 18-wheel trucks in our highways got licenses in Illinois.
The unfolding scandal first came to light following the deaths of these 6 young children in a fiery crash that federal authorities say was caused by a trucker who got his license from a bribed state inspector. The parents of the children were the only ones in the van who survived.
I ran to the van, began to beat on the windows, and my hands were already burned, so I began to hit with my elbows and kick with my feet. It was futile, and I knew it.
I fell on my knees, and I just started saying no, no, as though God would just stop it and make it all go away.
The deaths of their 6 children led Reverend Scott Willis and his wife Janet to demand answers. And authorities say it was their persistence which helped lead to the corruption scandal finally being exposed.
There wasn't accountability. It seemed like it was avoided. It was not only avoided, but it was being stifled.
Now, a federal investigation has led to the convictions of some 25 people in the scheme. Many of them employees at the Illinois Secretary of State's office, which issues licenses.
I, George H. Ryan.
The Secretary of State at the time is now the governor of Illinois, George Ryan.
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions if I could.
Who denied to 2020 any wrongdoing or any knowledge of any wrongdoing, even though authorities say more than $170,000 in payoff money ended up in Ryan's campaign fund.
Was I involved in selling driver's licenses to people illegally? Hell no, I wasn't. I didn't have anything to do. Would I have tolerated it? Hell no, I wouldn't tolerate it. Not in a second would I have put up with that had I known that it was going on.
But since then, one of Ryan's top aides and longtime friends, the man on the right, Dean Bauer, has been indicted by a federal grand jury on charges he tried to cover up the investigation of the accident involving the 6 children. Bauer has pleaded not guilty and will go on trial this fall. And now every state in the country has been warned about unqualified, dangerous truck drivers who may have obtained their driving licenses by paying bribes to officials in Illinois.
We would like to tell you that Brian Ross's report has won a prestigious Peabody Award for Outstanding Broadcast Journalism, which will be presented next month. We're very proud of him. We'll be right back.
We never thought we'd be doing this. A love story about the Secretary of Defense. You'll be amazed at how such opposites attracted.
You two are very different, though.
Oh, yes.
Love and war. When 2020 continues after this from our ABC stations.
It's Bianchi Honda's Fuel and Good sale. Save money and feel good with a fuel-efficient Honda Accord. Winner of Car and Driver Top 10 Best Award. Averages 25 miles per gallon city and 31 highway. Get interest rates as low as 3.9% APR or lease for $215 a month. Save even more on the best-selling small car in America. The Civic 32 city and 37 highway. Lease for only $159 a month. You gotta see Bianchi during the Fuel and Good sale. Bianchi Honda, 54th and Peach. Unbeatable.
I voiced my opinion that China ought to protect workers' rights. For that, I spent 18 years in prison and was very nearly executed.
Wei Jingsheng endured years of torture for challenging a system of slave wages and sweatshops in a nation that routinely violates trade agreements. Yet now, Congress is set to scrap its annual review of China's record and reward Beijing with a permanent trade deal. Tell Congressman Peterson to keep China on probation until China earns our trust.
Imagine a toy that teaches reading, basic math skills, and your kids can't get enough of it. Now imagine a toy that teaches your kids gambling, encourages violence, and your kids can't get enough of it. It's the hottest selling item on the toy market, and it's for real. Pokemon. Some parents love it, some schools have banned it. What's the story behind the toy that your children just can't seem to get enough of? Pokemon, Passion or Poison. Next week on Action News 24 at 6.
No matter where you search, you'll only find home improvement in one place.
Watch me.
Right here.
You prove that every week.
Your only home for home improvement.
Weekdays at 5:30 on Erie's own TV 24.
The latest on a deadly shooting spree in suburban Pittsburgh tonight.
2020 continues. Once again, Barbara Walters.
Why would we want to do a love story about the Secretary of Defense? Well, sure, Bill Cohen has an impressive title, but this man who knows so much about war is also one half of an unlikely love affair. The other half is his remarkable wife, Janet. She is black, he is white. She is a Democrat, he is a Republican. But Bill Cohen calls his wife his secret weapon. Why? We met with them recently in Washington to find out. So here are the Secretary of Defense and the woman who captured his heart and the gratitude of the Commander-in-Chief.
First, I want to thank our Secretary of Defense, Bill Cohen, for symbolizing our bipartisan commitment to national security. Thank you.
After praising Cabinet Member Cohen during the State of the Union message last January, President Clinton turned unexpectedly to the visitors gallery.
Even more, I want to thank his wife, Janet, who more than any other American citizen has tirelessly traveled this world to show the support we all feel for our troops. Thank you, Janet Cohen. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It is unusual for the wife of the Secretary of Defense, or for the wife of almost any cabinet member, to not just to travel with her husband, but to meet the troops, to involve yourself in their problems and their conditions.
I wanted to be with Bill. At the time that the president offered him this job, we were newlyweds. And I wanted to be with him, and then in traveling with him on this journey, I discovered the wonderful men and women and their families who serve us. They're smart, they're tough, they're professional, they're patriotic, and they really put their lives on the line, and they mean it when they say, duty, honor, country.
Duty, honor, country. These words have a very particular meaning for Janet Langhart Cohen, who has earned the unofficial title of First Lady of the Pentagon. Since her husband's appointment in 1997 as Secretary of Defense, the only Republican in this Democratic administration, Janet and Bill Cohen have traveled the world together, visiting some of the 1.5 million Americans in uniform. They've spent time with the peacekeepers in Bosnia and dropped onto an aircraft carrier in the Persian Gulf to celebrate the Christmas holiday with the troops.
What we really want to do here is just kind of get to know you and really listen to you.
On the home front, there are visits like this one to Camp Pendleton in California. While the Secretary talks modernization or military procurement, his wife does her own kind of research.
They talk about housing. They talk about the education of their children. They talk about pay. They talk about benefits, health care, all the issues that we care about.
She's another pair of eyes and ears, and I think when she goes out into a crowd with me, I think people will confide in her, perhaps, things they wouldn't say to me.
I just need to talk to the Sergeant Major.
She continues to stay in touch when home in Washington, often via phone or email, with individual soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, and their families, taking time out from her other career as an executive media consultant.
Here we go, all the way.
The Coens brought patriotism center stage with Pentagon Pops, an annual musical tribute to the armed forces that they started 2 years ago.
Tonight, we celebrate the American GI.
They were host and hostess for this year's event that saluted America's Medal of Honor recipients. The program was broadcast to troops around the world on Armed Forces radio and television, as is Special Assignment, Janet's new interview show, a chance to use experience she gained as a TV talk show host over the past 25 years.
Hi, I'm Janet. What's your name?
She says the fact that she is African American can create a special connection in the very integrated world of the military.
It's a sort of, when we look in each other's eyes, there's an inner knowingness. There's that inner knowingness that how far we've come.
You have said, Mr. Secretary, that when you get off a plane in a foreign country, that you are very proud to have your wife as a partner. Does the fact that your wife is African American play a role in that? Does that give you extra pride?
Well, I take great pride, obviously, in Janet and the spirit that she really releases wherever we are. But to walk off the plane that says the United States of America, and to say that here are two people who love each other, in which color doesn't matter, but character does, spirit does, and reflects the diversity in our country. We don't have to say anything. I think we just are. And we send that signal to people that this is America.
Janet Floyd was one of 3 children raised by a single mother in an Indianapolis housing project. Her mother worked as a hospital ward secretary. Janet says she didn't make any white friends until she graduated from high school. Bill Coen had few black friends when he grew up in Bangor, Maine. His father, Ruby, a baker, was a Russian Jew. His mother, Clara, an Irish Protestant.
To the Jewish community, I was a Gentile. To the Gentile community, I was Jewish. So it made it very difficult in growing up. I had spent 7 years in Hebrew school preparing to be bar mitzvah, but of course never was.
Why?
Because my mother refused to convert. To her credit, she held on to her own spirit and personalities and remained true to her own convictions. And so as a result of that, I was not bar mitzvah. But my father wanted me to be raised Jewish, but I was never really part of the Jewish community. When I became older, I became really attached to the Unitarian Church.
Did you face anti-Semitism?
Oh, sure. When I was playing sports in high school, I would find I was driving an old, it was not old at that time, but a convertible. I would find the top in the convertible be slashed. When I was a younger boy, I was pitching in Little League Baseball, and I would have beer cans thrown at me, say, send the Jew boy home. Things of that nature. So it made me fairly sensitive to discrimination in our society.
Did you experience discrimination?
Oh, sure. I remember. I must have been about 6 years old. And my mother and I went to a diner in Indianapolis, and Indianapolis didn't have signs up in those days like they did in the South, colored only, white only. So you learned by trial and error whether or not you were welcomed. And I remember sitting there for a long time and watching white people come in and get served, and we never got served. Until finally, I think it dawned on my mother that we were in a wrong place. And as we walked outside, I will never forget the look on my mother's face, Barbara. And I said, "What's the matter? What happened?" And she summoned, I guess, all of her composure, and she said something to me that I have never forgotten. She said, "There are people in this country who won't like you because you're colored, but you must never use color to measure them." And right at that moment, it struck a delicate balance for me, which has enabled me to understand who I am and where I am, but also to have me look for love in all the right places. I didn't miss out on Bill. Otherwise, I might have been a more bitter person.
Janet Langhart, she took her first husband's name, modeled for a short time. She won the title Miss Sepia, then went on to a successful television career.
Back live on 9 Broadcast Plaza with...
But her husband believes she didn't reach the heights she deserved because of her color.
She was told that she didn't speak well enough, that her English wasn't sufficient, and they sent her off to training in Iowa.
Was the implication that she spoke too black?
I've heard that too.
Well, that she spoke too black, but then by contrast, another executive told her that she spoke too well. She didn't speak black enough. And those are the kinds of stereotypical issues that she's had to deal with during her career.
An unlikely couple, perhaps, from two such different backgrounds. They first met in the 1970s when Janet was on TV and Bill Cohen was on a publicity tour for a book of his poetry. Years later, when Janet was separated from her second husband and Cohen's 25-year marriage had ended, their friendship got serious. Tell us about the courtship now. I don't want to make people think that he isn't a strong, tough guy, but is he romantic?
He's a strong, tough guy, and he's romantic. I mean, anyone who writes poetry, beautiful poetry. He wrote, I was playing polo at the time down in Palm Beach, and I had just lost my horse. I had to put her down. And I told Bill about how the horse had taken care of me and how she had taught me a lot. And he wrote a beautiful poem about gardenias in her hair. And I think you were talking about me in that Delta, right?
I think.
But it was beautiful.
Are you still writing poetry?
No, I haven't been able to write anything during the last 3 years. Hope to pick it up later.
Cohen had found time to write not only poetry, but 7 other books, including a mystery with his friend, former Senator Gary Hart. But by 1995, after almost 24 years in Congress, he was ready to look beyond Capitol Hill. Was any of your decision not to run for senator based on the fact that you were going to be making an interracial marriage?
No, not at all. Frankly, I had reached the point where I said if I'm going to ever have a second career, or third career actually, then now's the time for me to leave. And there were several things that took place. Number one, my father had died, and that was a traumatic moment.
Tell me about that, because I know that when your father died, it changed or made certain of your opinions and thinking stronger.
I was very close to my father, as I am to my mother, but my dad and I had a special relationship, and from the time I was very, very small. But when he passed away, it just reminded me that life is very fleeting, and I need to make some decisions in terms of, do I really want to continue doing what I'm doing? And I decided no. And at that time, we had been engaged for a couple of years, and I said, I think it's time for us to get married and start a different life for you and for me.
Sing and dance together and be joyous.
Their wedding took place inside the nation's Capitol building on Valentine's Day, 1996. Less than a year later, Cohen decided he would not go into private life, but instead he became a Republican Secretary of Defense under a Democratic president.
Mr. Secretary.
It wasn't a hard decision. That was one of the offers he really could never refuse. For him to offer it to a Republican, which had really never been done before, to an elected official from a different party, I thought was tremendously courageous of him.
Bill has been able to win over and convince the Democrats and still hold on to the alliances of the Republicans. That's not easy.
You are still a Republican, lifelong Republican?
Indeed.
You are a Democrat?
Yes.
Lifelong Democrat?
Indeed.
How does that work?
Mixed marriage.
Mixed marriages. Now that's where you have your arguments, right?
Sometimes. He's a moderate, but I've gotten him into the Democratic Party, at least administration.
And I've got you thinking more Republican.
I am
right?
real conservative.
Will you
Big
vote?
on defense.
Yes. Will you vote for different presidential candidates?
In all probability.
You two are very different.
Oh, yes.
Okay, how are
Night
you,
and day,
how are
literally.
You different? How are you different?
This is a recluse, contrary to public perception.
Yeah, I thought you were the recluse.
See, that's what everybody thinks.
That's what I read. You like to stay home, she likes parties.
Just the opposite.
Just the opposite.
Really?
I've had a quarter of a century of relating to the public, of being out and mixing and sharing dinners. And Janet, given her druthers, would rather be up in the apartment and see no one, just our dog Lucky and me, hopefully.
President Clinton leaves office in January. What next for the Cohens?
We're going to be private citizens and enjoy more time together.
If offered a position on the ticket as vice president on either party, would you consider it?
I'd consider it, but I'd have to indicate that I really want to become a private citizen. Obviously, if any president or presidential nominee comes to you and said, for the good of the country, but I really don't want to do that.
Would it matter whether the president was a Republican or a Democrat? Would it matter whether it was Bush or Gore?
As long as I could remain a Republican, it wouldn't matter to me, but it certainly would matter to the Democratic Party.
But anything can happen. This is America.
Yes, it is, but I think it's totally out of the question.
For both of you, is this the best time of your lives?
It's been life transforming. The opportunity to serve in this capacity has been the greatest experience that one could ever have. So it's been the best time of our lives.
I absolutely agree. This has been a wonderful journey.
And as Janet said, anything can happen. It's been an exciting journey so far, and who knows where the next road will lead them. If you're interested in hearing more of this interview than we could fit in our program, you might want to visit our website at 2020.abcnews.com. Our thanks to the Secretary of Defense and Janet Langhart. We'll be right back.
You've heard it all. There's too much pollution, too many people, not enough trees. Environmentalists have been sounding the alarm for years.
You are lucky that you are breathing probably the last of the oxygen.
But is it a false alarm? John Stossel's Give Me a Break when 2020 returns.
Sunday on This Week, John McCain on Rudy Giuliani and George Bush.
Never thought we'd get that brother of yours married off.
Yeah, no kidding.
How you doing? How's the kids?
Kids are good. You know, we're thinking of buying a house.
You got the down payment saved?
We're getting there.
How about your credit?
I don't know.
You don't know? You think buying a house is like buying a loaf of bread?
Understanding your credit is the first step toward owning a home. Call for the new free guide on credit from the Fannie Mae Foundation and for a list of lenders and credit counselors.
Make every day good to the last drop.
There are lots of tempting computers out there, so how do you choose? This one looks appetizing, but is it fast enough? This one looks good, but no 24/7 tech support or on-site service. Now a Gateway Select PC comes with a 700 megahertz processor, 24/7 tech support, on-site repair service if necessary, and you can trade it in toward the purchase of a new one in 2 years. All for just $1,299. So come and get it. Call 1-800-GATEWAY.
Amazing as it may seem, the same Bayer aspirin you take for muscle pain and backaches can actually help stop someone you love from dying if taken during a heart attack.
Peter?
That's why aspirin is the one pain reliever you should never be without. Talk to your doctor now.
They said you'll be okay.
Bayer, take it for pain, take it for life.
This Saturday, starting at 8 a.m. One day, one sale. That's not gonna hang around. Super Saturday, only at Sears. Blink, and it's gone.
2020, the winner of over 350 awards for excellence in broadcast journalism. Now always on abcnews.com. For more on the stories, interactive features, and live chats, go to 2020.abcnews.com.
Tonight, Kathy Griffin and Al Sharpton. And starting Monday, Bill's going to jail on Politically Incorrect.
It's gonna be a riot.
Starting Sunday, 4 new episodes of The Practice.
Stuart Donovan is set to be put to death in 17 days. We have to prove that he's innocent.
This is the case that proves why it's the Emmy-winning drama.
We're here to seek the truth. It's less work than executing a man.
An all-new Practice, ABC Sunday, 10/9 Central.
Everything you need for spring is here at Value. Choose pre-pasted washable Norwal special purchase wallpaper and pay only $3.99 a double roll bolt. And room accenting borders are just $2.99 each.
ABTCO's entire line of paneling is on sale $3 to $9 off. Choose honey or light birch for $6.99.
Get ready for spring cleanup
at your neighborhood Value.
Value has everything you need.
Good boys play with toy trucks.
Bad boys play with monster trucks.
Catch exciting monster truck action at Thunder Nationals, coming to the Erie Civic Center April 28 and 29. See a monster truck up close at Alex Power Sports on Thursday, April 27th between 4 and 8 p.m. Meet the driver, register to win monster truck merchandise, and 4 tickets to the Thunder National Show April 29. Plus, pick up passes to the Pit Pass Party. The monster truck meet and greet brought to you by Alex Power Sports, WJET TV 24, and Fox 66.
Earth Day. It was big last weekend. Big crowds, big names, top politicians. And who could complain about people trying to save our planet? Who else but John Stossel? In this week's Give Me a Break.
Look, Barbara, I want clean air as much as the next person. But the hysteria around Earth Day shows that much of this movement is less about science and more about people who just hate change.
Save the Earth!
Last Saturday was the 30th Earth Day anniversary. It brought out the usual demonstrations and rhetoric.
Save the whales! We have met the enemy, and they is us!
I skipped this year's event, but 30 years ago, I attended the first Earth Day.
Save our Earth! Save our Earth!
The demonstrators conducted mock funerals of children who would be killed by pollution. Even their gas masks couldn't protect them. Life magazine said scientists have solid experimental evidence to say that pollution will lead to global cooling. And in 10 years, people in urban areas will have to wear gas masks.
You are lucky that you are breathing probably the last of the oxygen.
The doomsayers weren't just wrong. They were spectacularly wrong. Paul Ehrlich, called ecology's angry lobbyist by Look magazine, said by the 1980s, 65 million Americans would starve in a great die-off. A movie picked up Ehrlich's warning. Soylent Green showed the future. Riots over food.
ABC News presents Earth Day.
And my employer was quick to join the scare.
An SOS for survival.
Everything that makes our living better also threatens our life.
What makes our living better threatens our life? The opposite is true. The technology the doomsayers attacked is exactly what prevented starvation.
Buy foods that are not full of chemicals.
If we'd heeded her advice, millions would have starved. Those evil chemicals increased the food supply. Today, there are about twice as many people as in 1970, yet we have more food per person.
Planet Earth is dying.
No, it isn't. The air and water are cleaner than they used to be. So do the doomsayers now hide in shame? No. Paul Ehrlich moved on to make dire predictions about oceans rising.
Florida would disappear. New York would disappear. Washington would disappear.
And don't they care about facts?
And the leading cause of death for children under 10 years old is cancer.
No, it isn't. Accidents kill 4 times as many.
They can't endanger our children. Thank you.
The environmental movement's gone beyond science to what seems more like religion. It's Earth worship.
There can't be any greater cause now than
mixed with celebrities,
than overpopulation.
And then when the lobbyists and politicians get involved.
This is Armageddon. This is the final battle.
You can be sure they'll pass laws that will take our freedom and our money so they can protect us. And of course, for 30 years, they've also terrified children.
The codfish lie dead in the sea. They all died of water pollution.
Even though America keeps getting cleaner, kids at Saturday's rally dread their future.
The sky will be brown or yucky color.
Then we won't be able to breathe and stuff.
Acid will rain from the sky, say these boys.
A squirrel could get hurt, its fur can be burned off. It could be caught on fire.
And what does a factory do to people?
It makes them die.
The scaremongers say they're saving the Earth. But who will save us from the scaremongers?
Things are just going to get worse until the point where this Earth is going to vomit.
Oh, my name is Greenie, the environmental Elvis.
These are the people who will take us into the future?
Why should we use the car? Really want a walk. It's not that far.
Give me a break.
Thank you very much, y'all.
But, John, it could be argued, and I will argue, that we have better laws because people have protested, because people have kicked up a storm.
Well, I'll grant you that the first simple environmental rules were a good thing, and it was good that people called attention to this. But now they're getting into really dubious stuff that would turn people's lives upside down based on scaremongering and flimsy theories, and that's bad policy.
So we should not be too scared.
Let's not be too scared. Things are getting better.
The continent is here to stay.
Well, for at least 1 million years.
Well, if you think that John has a point, or if you want to argue with him, let us know your thoughts by visiting John's webpage at 2020.abcnews.com. We'll be right back.
There was this kid that was like 17. He came to a school with a gun. We didn't know if it was fake or real. I have a knife and you don't. Ha 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 ha.
It scares me.
Our children need our help to deal with tough issues like violence. Please, talk with your kids.
Now's the time to head to McDonald's for 2 temptingly tender chicken sandwiches. Introducing the new crispy chicken and the new Chicken McGrill, made hot, fresh, right to order, with all white meat and the perfect seasonings for a surprising taste.
Whoa, that was only the first bite.
Who has 2 great new chicken sandwiches? Did somebody say McDonald's? A worldwide Olympic partner.
People always ask me where I got my auburn hair. From my mother.
Our mother's hair is brown.
How else could I get color as natural as this?
Nice and easy. Works with your own tones and highlights.
How else could I get these lights and darks?
It works with your own tones and highlights.
Isn't it amazing how nature works?
Isn't it amazing how nice and easy works?
Hey, what can I say? This is my color.
It is now. Nice and easy from Clairol, the true color of you.
Next week on 2020 Friday, my exclusive interview with George W. Bush and his wife Laura. An intimate look at the man who wants to be president. Some very personal glimpses, some political news, and some surprises. Next Friday at 10, 9 Central. And that's our program for tonight. We thank you for joining us. I'm Barbara Walters. I'll see you next week here and on The View. And for all of us here at 2020, enjoy the weekend. Good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
And down the stretch they come! The Kentucky Derby on ABC.
No store in the country is quite like the Furniture and Mattress Outlet. Bassett Furniture, Berkline Reclining Furniture, Ashley Furniture, Sealy Furniture, and Simmons Mattresses all have factory direct outlet galleries inside of our store. It's like an outlet mall for furniture and mattresses right here in Erie. Plus, we make special purchases of closeouts and buyouts. Bottom line, no one in America can beat our prices, and you never sacrifice quality. The Furniture and Mattress Outlet, 12th and Pittsburgh Avenue in Erie. We save you money.
I really want to know. I really want to know. Hey. Oh, 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 how's the weather? Whether or not we're together we'll see it much better. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Call me if you need a friend.